Hey everyone, it's about 1 in the morning right now when I'm doing this video, but probably afterwards, when you actually see this, it'll be after my grandmother's memorial service. And I just wanted to share a few thoughts for those of you who aren't able to attend tomorrow morning. Several of our family members are going to be talking and sharing a little bit about my grandmother and what we loved about her. And I just wanted to take a few moments to really give you an idea of what I wanted to share. Now, for those of you who knew my grandma, Elizabeth Arnold, you may have known all of the things that she loved and enjoyed, but here's a little bit more. She grew up on a farm with her cousins, her 3 cousins, and those cousins were like best friends and sisters to her. My grandmother also had an absolute love for animals. She loved dachshunds, pretty much any animal she loved, especially dachshunds. Growing up, she was a part of her high school band. She played a couple different instruments, and she had those instruments for years and years and years in her house and in her closet. We could see them and play with them. She was also voted as the tallest girl in her high school. So if you see me, you know where I get my height from. And she also developed over the years a love for art, specifically painting, and specifically painting ceramics. That's not an art necessarily you see much of, but she had an entire studio in her house where she would pour the clay, if you will, into the molds and put it in the kiln and bake it, and then would paint the ceramics. And growing up, my cousin and I painted many hours with her. She would often bring the ceramics to the schools, or even have our friends over, and we would paint with my grandma. And I remember painting this little dinosaur. It was my absolute favorite until we accidentally broke it. We have so many memories of the things that she painted, and she won many prizes for her ceramics, and she did such a great job, and she became very skillful in it. She loved pen and ink. She loved painting. I have several of her paintings, and she loved all things art. And I think I developed that love for art from her. If you also knew my grandmother, you knew how much she loved shopping. Keep her out of Walmart was kind of the catchphrase, because she did really like to shop. There were certain things that she would always buy that would be hats, bags, telephones, watches, and clocks. So watch out if you saw her coming down those aisles. Also ice cream and popcorn, those were her must-haves in her cart. Never failed that she would bring out some popcorn or ice cream. We were at her house, and she loved silly things like the Rugrats cartoon, Murder, She Wrote. Those were some of her favorite TV shows. Gosh, she loved so many things. We would love riding on her scooter around town. We would love riding on her scooter. She would take us to Disney when we were little kids, and we would ride on her scooter until one time her scooter broke down, and it was my cousin and I were there. We were probably like 6 or 7, so we were trying to push her up the ramp to the monorail, which, as you can know, that can be quite a feat. And so thankfully some other helpful guests helped us get my grandma where she needed to go, but it will be a Disney experience I'll never forget. She absolutely loved the smell of mineral ice. Don't ask me why, but that smell always brings back memories of my grandma. She loved lighthouses and hummingbirds, and those were frequently decorated in her house. Angels. She would often tell us that you should never drive faster than your angels could fly. Very true, and I think sometimes, as my dad would say, she left those angels in the dust. And her two favorite holidays were Easter and Christmas. And I just want to spend a moment on Easter, if you will. Every Easter, my grandma would take us to Easter at her church, the Church of the Messiah, little Pentecostal church in Winter Garden. I'm sorry, not Pentecostal, Episcopalian church in Winter Garden. And growing up, there were two things that I heard every Easter, and that was the Lord's Prayer and the song, Christ the Lord is risen today. Without fail, I heard those every Easter. And so that was actually my first introduction really to church. And we would go with my grandma, early service, like 6:30 in the morning. She would wake us up at the crack of dawn to get ready in our Sunday best and to go to church. And she would show us off to all of her lady friends with pride and joy, like we were really her pride and joy. And she would say, have you seen my granddaughters? Have you met my granddaughters? And then when my brother was born, have you met my grandson? And all the ladies would shake her hands and smile. And she would go up to anybody and everybody and be like, have you met my granddaughters?